everything else. Miu Hirano, I feel like, lives in the shadows of Mima Ito just a little bit. Now the medium pips, for those of you a little newer to table tennis, the little bumps that look like Legos on the back of many recreational rackets at the professional level come in different lengths. Most commonly short pips or long pips. Short pips you've had a chance to see here today with Shunyan Fei of Spain on the backhand yesterday of Jianghua Jun of Hong Kong, but the inverted rubber, the smooth rubber, best used for spinning the ball on both sides. Spin can be extremely helpful to get the first attack in and on the table, to play aggressively even when the ball's quite low. So on both sides, that's what Miu Hirano has. Our umpire for the match, Jeff Wong from Canada. So you know he's going to be friendly. Umpires in general. Speaking of umpires, we've got USA's Saul Weinstein, international umpire, on the assistant umpire role right now. The umpire's job just to make sure that players play by the rules so that neither player has an unfair advantage. Just keeping it clean. It is sort of shocking that people do villainize sometimes. I mean, obviously if an umpire makes a call and you're rooting for one player, but the umpires are here as volunteers because they love the sport and they want to contribute. So I really think the umpires, assistant umpires, deserve a big hug and a pat on the back. There should be a table tennis and international hug and umpire day. Miu Hirano very quick with the strokes on the backhand side. So I told you a little bit about the rubber, short pips versus long pips. Long pips tend to be used by choppers almost exclusively at this level. Sometimes older players with shoulder injuries at local clubs. This is the cup they'll be battling for. But the medium pips, somewhere between the long and short pips, can be used defensively to take the pace off the ball. And as Mima Ito will demonstrate, can be used very aggressively as well, but with less rotation than short pips and much less than inverted. Tend to cause players a lot of trouble. These two quite familiar with each other's games, which is what's created such an equal balance in the battle. It's world rank number 17, Miu Hirano, to start off this best of 7 quarterfinal. Serve comes long and Ito quick to get all over it. Now it is unusual to see two right-handed players playing and have one serving from wide on the forehand side. This could be a sign that Hirano would much rather receive from the inverted. Almost hitting that wide angle shot, quick from both sides. Now again, a lot of people are going to be more bothered by Mima Ito in the blue with that backhand shot than Miu Hirano, who's very familiar.
1-3.
Really take a minute to think about how difficult it would be. Anyone who's played against long pips, short pips, or anything in between, how fast Miu Hirano reacts. Beautiful angle, catches the net post, but no table for Hirano. And Ito on point right now to start off the first game. There's that spinny inverted backhand from Miu Hirano.
Let 1-4.
That's some focus right there. All in one point, you can see how many different ways medium pips can be used. We had aggressive shots throughout in the last ball. Mima Ito really took the pace off it. Hirano has to step way in and spin it from below the table. But very focused and patient play from Hirano for her second point. Opening forehand attack from Hirano. In the last 2 years, the power that Hirano's developed, she has grown quite a bit in height. I think everything else from physical conditioning and experience and timing all factors in.
4-4.
3 points in a row from Hirano. Was down 1-4, now tied up with serves on hand.
5-4.
Now, if you replay these points in your head, the medium pips have been the losing shot for Mima Ito many times. And if you keep the ball low deep on the table, you're going to need a shot that has a bit more spin than maybe the medium pips can produce. But this time she goes for it, tries to spin it up a bit, and still manages to get some topspin from the backhand side with those medium pips. You can see the smiles of Tony and Bruce in the front row there. They must be thinking, man, how do you create that much spin with medium pips on the backhand? Oh, come on, testing each other, just running around. Cat and mouse chasing game out here with the attacks and the covers on the wide forehands from both players. Look at this, completely reaching. Now, Mima Ito does not have a wide step. That's about as wide as they come, really having to stretch there.
Seven, 5.
So this is the first Women's World Cup that we've had in the United States. First time for many of the players here on the World Tour, and as you can expect, the younger ones.
8-5.
Well, many Japanese players show up for the US Open in Las Vegas year after year. The very top Japanese females, US soil for their first time.
5-9.
Hirano was down 1-4 and has really turned things around here.
6-9.
But this is the power. Mima Ito has shown some very serious comebacks as well. For me, her breakout performance as a singles player was the German Open in 2015. Han Ying, Feng Tianwei, no problem for Mima Ito. And even Patricia Solya was down 7-10 in game 6 before scoring 5 straight points. There's a picture of Mima Ito. Fans reading up, doing their research. But you at home have a commentator, so in case you don't know anything about Mima Ito, I'll take care of that for you. Hirano realizing she has to go with the long push there, can't keep it short.
9-8.
So 3 in a row for Mima Ito.
Eight, 10.
You can see the self-coaching out there. Mima Ito coming up just a little bit. It's tough when you're reaching that far into the backhand, but it's a smart play from Hirano. Once you get someone to cover the middle with the backhand, step over the line just a little bit. They're slightly off balance. That creates the opening on the backhand side. Now 2 game points from Yu Hirano.
9, 10.
Heavy underspin. And Ito saves 1 game point. And this time she calibrates just right. The very first backhand she takes manages to come down on the ball a bit more, just like she coached herself from 2 points ago. It's the second point in this match where we've seen Mima Ito go through the whole gambit here of different uses for the medium pips on the backhand side. So Hirano now with the serve at deuce, going to be alternating serves. Bit of side and top. Clever receive from Mima Ito. Again, she can still generate some spin with that backhand, the medium pips. Not only does it affect the bounce of the ball, but also the direction of the ball that Hirano hits. Both players pulling out the clever backhand receives. You'll have a chance to see both of these players doing those receives throughout the tournament in general. Hirano lets the head of the racket dip down, pulls up and over, give it some side and top spin. We see that sometimes from defenders. And also Simone Gauzy, a few clever touch players in Europe. Power and extra spin, Hirano over covering, and it's game point to Mima Ito. Both of these players have a realistic shot at becoming the title holder, the Women's World Cup champion. And Mima Ito's the first to get a game on the board. They play close, so we never know. This one could go 7, but one is down, and it's 13-11 to Mima Ito. We'll be back for game 2 after this short break.
And Mima Ito takes the first game 13-11. She's up 1-0. This is Battle of the Teenagers right here at center court. Here in Philadelphia, we have a 15-year-old versus a 16-year-old. It's insane.
Back for game 2, Miu Hirano, the one taking the full minute, waiting until time is called to return to the table. Now, as both players are from the same national association, that being Japan, neither of them has a coach involved. Their coach is outside of this, Taisuke Matsuzaki for Mima Ito. And on Miu Hirano's side, it's Rue Nakazawa, originally from China.
1 love.
Now, Miu Hirano is sort of the textbook perfect example of positive attitude that the Japanese women promote. Look at this shot, quick off the bounce and out wide to the forehand, sneaks it past Mima Ito. But win or lose, Miu Hirano, you'll see positive head shakes. Sports psychology definitely important out here. And that grunt comes out, you know there's going to be extra spin on that forehand shot. Mima Ito pulled that off, saving game points in game 1. The punch from Mima Ito to finish it off. A little bit of side spin from Miu Hirano early in the rally. Covering the wide backhand there, but it's a quick decision from Ito. So fast how she hops back to the center of the table. Tested on the middle, trying to turn and take the forehand. Hirano pins the perfect point to take it. Again, the placement absolutely crucial out here. Top of the net for top of the net. And behind China, the Japanese women, probably the second hardest working of any national association, any national team. A lot of anticipation about the 2020 Olympics. If these two will be part of the Olympic team, that will be the threat to China.
4-3.
We'll have to see, though. Now, the funny thing about pressure and the way it works is, if you win a big match, it only takes one on the big stage. Many players have winning records. Ma Long versus Zhang Jike. Ma Long had a winning record for the longest time.
Let 4-3.
But Zhang Jike, when it counted, seemed to be able to handle the pressure better. That changed a bit in 2015 and again at the Olympics in Rio this year. Look how fast the ball is going back and forth in the forehand counter action. Now Mima Ito, for her size, just barely over 5 feet tall, somewhere in the low 150 centimeters. Generates so much power with their timing.
3-6.
But as mentioned, Hirano developing a lot of power on her own, or at least on her side of the table anyway. Hirano with the chop block to introduce some side spin to the rally. Have you met my friend, side spin? And Hirano forcing the defensive shot off the backhand side.
Let 7-3.
Staying loose out there, making sure everything from the fingertips up to the bicep, nice and loose. The faster they come in, it seems more comfortable right now for Mima Ito to redirect and keep the ball in play, but when given a little bit more time, it leaves the question turning and taking the forehand, but there's no question there, that ball clearly a forehand.
Let 8-3.
Again, a very confident let receive. 5-point lead to Hirano. Had the lead in game one, couldn't close it out.
4-8.
Seemed a little bit slow to recover there, that big forehand stroke. As far as brilliance go, these players are able to think so quickly. It's almost like second nature to them, the patterns they're creating and what they get from their opponents. So as soon as an opportunity presents itself, Ito knows to go for it. Same with Hirano. Now 6 game points for Hirano to take back what Mima took in game one. While she can't change the past, she can definitely even out the scoreboard in games. Forehand flip kill goes long, 11 points to 4, a dominant game two by Miu Hirano, and it's tied up at 1 point each, 1 game each rather, and neither player has a coach in their corner, so they're gonna regroup, drink their water, check their notes, and come back for game 3 to see who takes the lead. Stay right here. That won 2014 at the World Tour Grand Finals is split out here and pitted against each other in a battle of who will make it to the semifinals. Again, $150,000 being given out to the players this weekend, and only 19 players to split it. Whoever takes first will take the biggest chunk with $45,000 and the trophy. Hirano seeming so comfortable. Again, every time it hits the forehand rubber from Mima Ito, it's going to be a lot spinnier than when it comes back off the backhand side, the medium pips.
1-1.
But Ito contacts that just right to generate some backspin on the receive. This time catches the edge of the racket. Now, as far as body language, I mentioned how textbook perfect Miu Hirano is. From time to time, I see her stray from the positive head shakes. Mima Ito becoming a bit independent.
3-1.
It's interesting to describe it that way from a body language standpoint, but when you're working as part of a professional team, you've got coaches instructing a certain way. Individuality. It's interesting to see the expression, the emotions of the player on the court.
3-2.
Backhand right down the line. Ito making it a 1 point game. This is the importance of such a well-placed serve. Hirano just barely dangling it off the back of the table, and at the same time in the receive game, Mima Ito watches it come off, takes the first spin shot, But because it was so well placed, Ito's opening attack wasn't enough to deter a counterattack. Fast from the middle, Hirano so quick on that turn. When your opponent's figured out the tricks that you can do with your game and with your rubber, it can feel a little bit limiting at times.
5-3.
Now, since Ito is quite an aggressive player, she's not going to twiddle the racket. With some defensive players, Hitomi Sato from Japan, Tatiana Bilenko, you'll get to see players who twiddle the racket a bit and attack with the inverted rubber on the backhand side.
Six, 3.
Forced into the backhand defensive game. Now, while chopping is not easy to do with medium pips, it might be more comfortable than lobbing the ball. Again, to lob the ball, you want to keep topspin on it deep on the table. Tough to generate the topspin with the medium pips. Oh, a flat hit, just crushing, no remorse with that shot. Sees it sitting up high and comes straight down through it. Look at this one more time. Top side on the shovel serve. High spinny ball comes back. With the feet spread apart, the flat hit for the point.
3-8.
A familiar score from last game. Hirano was up 8-3. The eye contact.
Eight, 4.
I guess eye contact requires another person to be looking you in the eyes. I have to imagine Mima Ito's head was down getting prepared for the point before. Sounds sort of animal-like, but I think it could be a sign of confidence for Hirano. Just the way she looked over at Mima Ito between points. What do these people eat? Miu Hirano and Mima Ito hitting winner after winner, back and forth. Just incredible. Only one of them could even have a driver's license right now in the United States, and they're playing like this. Madness.
Five, 9.
And then there's the calm after the storm. I've seen this happen before. Long, exhausting point, followed by a quick one.
6, 9. Nine, 7.
As far as clever serves go and clever receives, Hirano trying to put some side spin on it. Come around the outside of the ball. Remember, the score was 8-3 just moments ago.
Nine, 8.
So Mima Ito right back in this. And the timeout called by Miu Hirano again. Neither player has a coach in the corner. This is a mature decision here to try and cut off the comeback. From 8-3 up, 5 out of the next 6 points have gone to Mima Ito. When you're down 3-8, it inspires us in the audience to think about the limitations of a player. Miu Hirano put Miu Hirano in a position of pressure here. But there are a lot of great reasons to call a timeout. When you have a coach in the corner, you often have one more fan in the crowd. Her mother is here. But many American table tennis fans are here as fans of both of these players as well. Heavy underspin. Now this serve looks like she's coming around the side of the ball. It doesn't look like topspin. It looks like straight side spin. But she's fooled many players by bringing the wrist back and under the ball. In Miu Hirano's last match, she got about 3 outright points on that serve. And now it's 2 game points for Miu Hirano. Backhand to backhand, catches the edge of the table, and Hirano takes it 11 points to 8 for a 2-1 lead. Wouldn't be surprised if this one goes 7. We'll see. Hirano in the lead. We'll be back for game 4 after this short break.
So there is at least 2 more games in the last quarterfinal matchup tonight.
Players are back for game 4. Mima Ito down 1 game to 2. Miu Hirano pulling it out 11 to 8 after a wise timeout from the 16-year-old, showing some real mental maturity on the court. Right down the line with a crisp backhand off the bounce. Miu Hirano in black with the pink sleeve. Mima Ito right there. Again, Miu Hirano really fighting to make a name for herself as she chases in the world rankings her teammate Mima Ito.
1-1.
In case you're curious, a little newer to the sport, Miu Hirano there breathing on the racket to fog it up a little bit and wipe off the dust on the top sheet, make sure the ball doesn't slide off the rubber. Wants to have full traction for proper spin as she's used to.
Net 1-1.
You'll see this relatively often with professional players, breathing on their racket, wiping it off during the match. So much work. Mima Ito brings it back. Powerful shot out to the forehand, and then a quick one off the backhand side. Hirano doesn't make it look distracting at all, but for most of us, that ball would be right back into the net if you even touch it.
2-2.
Little help off the top of the net, but the follow-up attack is clean from Hirano. Not going to see too many points lost that way by Ito, or won that way by Hirano. Just soft pushes into the middle. Sometimes it's tough to tell when you see two incredible athletes playing each other. It was Bill Murray who said every Olympic event should include one average person for reference.
Net 4-2.
I can tell you I've played with many of these players, and it's just night and day. It's absolutely amazing what they can do out here.
Four, 3.
Inside out backhand down the line and a quiet fist pump with the left hand. As far as sports psychology, it's also interesting to see the difference in personality from a noise standpoint, how much vocalization we hear from players. Sometimes it's a question of how you feel about your opponent, but for Hirano, it's pretty much a silent game. Outstanding power from both sides, and working so hard. Ito at full extension on the backhand has a chance to punch this back in for a winner. There's a chop block, a bit of side spin. Now between shots, the body language of Ito, it almost looked like she thought it was over for a moment, but quickly got back in.
Seven, 3. Seven, 3. 8-3.
And even with Mima Ito digging deep for that long push on the backhand side, Hirano's not softening up for a moment. She's very focused, sees the ball coming long, and is quick to set up that backhand. Either side, really. Just her backstroke doesn't need a lot of preparation, doesn't need a huge backstroke. Efficiency so important in addition to placement out here. Oh, right down the line, smoked. Difficult considering where Miu Hirano's standing for that serve. She's been serving from the middle and forehand side of the table, and watch this. Steps hardly anywhere. She just keeps her weight in the middle of the table. If she was stepping around the corner to open up the forehand, you could at least understand how she snuck that ball past. Persistent on the middle. Hirano looking for a turn, but until then, until Ito turns or shows an opening, Hirano's just going to play it right into the elbow.
10-4.
And a risky serve goes long. Hirano looking at 6 game points to take a 3-1 lead. Backhand goes long, 11 points to 4. Miu Hirano, her second 11-4 game so far after losing game 1 11-13. Now has a 3-1 lead. We'll be back for game 5. Stay right here to see if it's the last or if Ito keeps it alive.
If you're having fun tonight, just want to remind you that tomorrow at 2 p.m. will be the semifinals. At 6 p.m. will be the third place match. And at 7 p.m. live on ESPN2, we're going to have the Women's World Cup Finals right here. And a big thanks to all of our sponsors, Seamaster, Mr. Frank G, T2 Asia Pacific, TTX Table Tennis, DHS, MDO Sports Forum, Monday Club, GoDaddy, and Sonoma.
And as these players come back for game 5, Miu Hirano in the black and pink is leading 3-1 over Mima Ito on screen right now.
Game 5.
A little reminder, Miu Hirano played earlier today against Romania's Elisabeta Samara in an incredible match where Samara almost pulled a Michael Mays, lobbing several points after being down 4-10, getting 4 in a row against Miu Hirano.
Love 1.
You can see the reaction time of Ito coming in as soon as that ball hits the net to be there just in case she needs to play the ball from the side of the table, down near the ground even. Power for power, backhand to backhand. Just unfathomable how well calibrated Hirano is to counter these balls. Again, they're coming with less spin off Mima Ito's medium pips backhand. And a long push floats long, but it's deep on the table, rushes the shot out of Hirano. Because it was the forehand, a slightly more expensive shot, takes a little more time. They're the famous notebooks of the Japanese players. What's inside, the world may never know. Secret.
2-2.
One solid block from the forehand of Ito, not enough as Hirano quickly chases down the follow-up forehand. And even though she's chasing it, she finishes in a way that she can come right back to center. Again, always preparing for the next shot, setting themselves up to continue the rally.
3-2.
As far as variation in service, Miu Hirano has shown us so many different serves. From the middle of the table and the forehand side with that shovel coming around the outside of the ball. Fast, long serve to the baseline, causing some stress and deep thoughts from Mima Ito. A little help from the top of the net there, but that receives just too high, quite frankly. timeout.
Timeout.
Starting to wonder when you would see the timeout from Mima Ito. Miu Hirano with the early timeout. From a focus standpoint, it seems like they're both obviously quite focused, but Miu Hirano just seems a little bit more diligent. It's easy to say about someone who's winning a match 3-1. But again, from a fame standpoint, from a past record standpoint, and a world ranking standpoint, so fame aside, Mima Ito has earned more international celebrity, I guess you could say. 7 years of age,
2-4.
arguably past her peak, or at least not on her way up anymore. If she can maintain her level, we'll see. But right now it's about Mima Ito fighting out of this timeout against Miu Hirano.
3-4.
A well-placed serve to get the first point out of the timeout. How does she do this?
5-3.
She's on the run, wide to the forehand, and slaps it back. Mima Ito's waiting there, but still so much pace on the ball. And it's a flat one. It's tough to block a flat hit back. Warriors, and Hirano takes it. It's just explosive power on both sides. The fact that they know each other's games so well is what creates these fast, long rallies. They're being fooled less often. Often exciting to see teammates play, especially different personalities on the court, different styles.
3-7.
Miu Hirano just playing an unstoppable game out here. Forcing Ito into a slightly more passive racket head-up game and then chasing the wide corners.
Four-7.
Heavy push forces a slightly slower spin shot from Ito, but still deep on the table, causes trouble for Hirano.
Led. 4-7. 7-5.
It's a second towel break of the game, and it's going to be a mini timeout, essentially, for Miu Hirano. They're being up 7-3, 2 quick points to Ito.
7-5.
There's the power and the
8-5.
placement. She doesn't telegraph either, so it's difficult for Mima Ito to tell where the ball's going to go. The turn of the waist, the agility in the shoulders and the rest of the arm.
Five, 9.
That's 2 times that receive has not worked out well, which might be the only time she's used that receive. Coming around with the backhand, trying to cut it just a little bit, put some side with the backspin on it, but keep it deep on the table. Mostly side because she wants to keep it low, doesn't want it to float too much.
6-9.
Now it feels a bit paralyzing. Well, Mima Ito does have the step around forehand that's inside out and very strong. The fact that Miu Hirano is so comfortable countering forces her to play the middle of the
6-9.
table a little bit more. That's the paralysis I'm talking about. She's frozen in the middle of the table more so.
9-7.
Well-placed short, heavy underspin from Ito, just within 2 points. Moment of truth here. Ooh, dun dun dun. Oh, inside out forehand, hangs on for just a second to see that Mima Ito's moving out to the forehand side. Fakes her out completely, hitting it behind her. So much power on the backhand, deep on the table. And look at this. It looks like she's going the other way for sure. 3 match points for Miu Hirano. And this time the receive works out. A little bit of top with the side spin. Very surprised to see Mima Ito going back to that receive. It's much like the modern receive we see from Fan Zhendong, Zhang Jike, and some of the rest of the top players in the world. Except a lot less from behind the ball, not coming over it as much. Outstanding point, and a few come back, but it's Miu Hirano who has more life out here today. 11 points to 8, and it's 3 head-to-head matches in a row that Miu Hirano has beaten Mima Ito. So the 16-year-old player from Japan, the number 5 seed in the tournament, world rank number 17, is moving on to the women's singles semifinals tomorrow. Should be an exciting day. She's going to be playing Feng Tianwei. Here's a recap of the scores. And what professionalism, what dominance out here. Miu Hirano on the up and up takes down Mima Ito, the 3rd seed of the tournament. And that wraps up our day in production. The quarterfinals are finished, and it's only getting thicker and thicker in the competition. Tomorrow we've got the semifinals, the 3rd place battle for the bronze medal, and the women's singles final. Coming to you live from Philadelphia, USA, I'm Adam Bobrow, and I look forward to having you at the Women's World Cup tomorrow. See you then.